Have you ever wondered what if the biggest royal wedding of the century wasn't simply a love story, but the first move in something that had already been taking shape behind palace walls? According to controversial claims made by royal author Tom Bower, there could have been much more going on beneath the designer outfits, horse-drawn carriage, cheering crowds, and picture-perfect smiles. If Bower's interpretation is right, the wedding watched by millions around the world wasn't only the beginning of Meghan Markle's royal life.
I hated the day. The day was a miserable day. I mean, it was a...
Really? I thought...
Well, I can tell you now, it was the worst royal engagement I ever did, a royal wedding I ever did. You know, I thought to myself, you know, this is all showbiz rubbish.
You're absolutely right. I mean, what I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man and she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
The whole thing was just stage managed to suit them.
This is not the Harry he was a few years ago. And the only reason he's not like that is he's following the requests of Meghan. He said himself, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets.
And so he was angry, and I felt, you know, we were punished for that.
Critics would later wonder whether it also planted the seeds for her and Prince Harry's eventual royal exit. And when people look back at certain details from that day, the timeline starts hitting very differently. On camera, everything looked like a modern fairy tale. Crowds packed the streets, cheering, while television networks described the ceremony as magical. Newspapers published stunning photographs that seemed almost too polished to be real. But over the years, some people who were actually involved in covering the wedding have described a much more complicated scene behind those glossy images. And that's where things get interesting. One of those people is veteran royal photographer Arthur Edwards, who spent decades photographing the royal family through major celebrations, scandals, tours, and personal heartbreak. He wasn't simply somebody watching from the outside and commenting years later. Edwards had photographed Queen Elizabeth II and traveled around the world covering royal engagements, giving him access to moments most people could only watch on television. Yet his recollections of Harry and Meghan's wedding weren't all about excitement and warmth. Edwards has spoken publicly about tensions he believed were already developing around Harry and the press. According to Edwards' account, Harry appeared increasingly frustrated with sections of the media, and the working atmosphere wasn't what the veteran photographer had been used to at previous royal events.
The photographers they engaged for the job was 5 feet away, you know, it was just hopeless. And then the carriage shot, when they went past me in the carriage, they looked the other way. So for me, it was a disaster. And
well, was that deliberate? You were made to feel unwelcome
I
at the
felt
wedding?
so. I felt, that wasn't just me.
Photographers who had spent years covering the monarchy suddenly felt, in Edwards' telling, that the relationship between Harry and the press had become far more guarded. That difference mattered because Edwards had been around the royal machine for decades. He knew big events came with pressure, strict protocol, security headaches, and non-stop attention. But from his perspective, something about this situation felt different. Instead of the familiar working relationship, there appeared to be a growing level of suspicion. Then there was something viewers at home could never fully feel: the heat. Guests weren't simply sitting comfortably inside a glamorous royal fantasy. Many were dressed in formal clothing while dealing with seriously hot weather. And maintaining that polished royal look wasn't exactly easy. Edwards himself described wearing heavy ceremonial clothing that was hardly ideal for the soaring temperatures. As the day continued, even famous guests who normally look completely unbothered by cameras could be seen trying to stay cool. Wedding programs reportedly became makeshift fans as people attempted to handle the heat without ruining the carefully presented occasion. Television viewers got elegance, while people on the ground were dealing with the practical reality of a huge ceremony on a hot day. That doesn't prove anything sinister, of course, but it shows just how different the public image of a royal wedding can be from what guests and workers experience behind the scenes. Then came another reported headache: changes involving the guest list.
You know, I've done some really lovely royal weddings. I've did both King Charles's weddings. I did William's wedding. I did Andrew's wedding. I did Sophie and Edward. You know, I mean, they were lovely occasions. But that today, I couldn't get out of Windsor quick enough, I promise.
Edwards has discussed the presence of major celebrities, while royal commentators have spent years debating what those invitations actually represented. With an event this tightly controlled, guest arrangements are no small deal. Royal weddings run on serious planning. Seating, transportation, security, catering, photography, and protocol can be organized months ahead. So even seemingly minor adjustments can create a domino effect for the people trying to keep the entire operation moving smoothly. The guest list included huge names such as Oprah Winfrey, Elton John, and other figures from entertainment and celebrity circles. Tyler Perry would later become an important friend and supporter of Harry and Meghan, although accounts should be careful not to suggest that every later relationship or business connection was already established. Through the wedding itself, still that guest list sparked a question that critics would revisit years later. Were these simply famous friends and acquaintances invited to share a massive personal moment? Or did some of those connections also point toward the kind of international celebrity world Harry and Meghan would eventually enter? This is where Tom Bower's interpretation gets especially provocative. Bower has argued that some celebrity relationships deserve closer attention and has portrayed Meghan as highly strategic about networking and her future. That remains his interpretation, not a proven secret plan, but it gave critics a whole new angle from which to examine the wedding. Years later, Harry and Meghan stepped away as senior working royals, moved to North America, signed major media agreements, worked with streaming platforms, gave globally watched interviews, and created a new public identity outside the traditional royal setup. Naturally, critics began looking backward and saying, wait a minute, were some of the building blocks already visible? Suddenly, people were examining that star-packed wedding guest list like it contained clues. But hindsight can make ordinary decisions look calculated, so the key question isn't whether famous people attended. It's whether there is solid evidence that those relationships were deliberately being built as part of an exit strategy, and that remains disputed. Then came another detail that reportedly caught the attention of longtime royal watchers: the seating. Royal ceremonies usually follow strict traditions involving rank, family position, official roles, and years of service. This isn't a casual dinner where everybody grabs whatever chair looks good. Yet Edwards described arrangements that, from his perspective, seemed to challenge some of those old expectations. According to his recollections, people with long histories of royal service were positioned farther away, while globally recognizable celebrities appeared to receive highly desirable spots. And inside an institution where position can send a message without anyone saying a single word, that kind of detail was always going to get people talking. To casual viewers, it may have looked like nothing more than a glamorous room filled with famous faces. To seasoned royal observers, however, the seating raised a much more pointed question about who appeared to matter most on that extraordinary day. To palace traditionalists, that wasn't merely unusual, it looked symbolic. Some observers began wondering whether the priorities surrounding the wedding had shifted away from royal tradition and towards something far more focused on celebrity, publicity, and image. Arthur Edwards even joked about how distant his own position felt, making it sound as though he needed a navigation system just to follow what was happening. But according to Tom Bower, the bigger controversy goes much deeper than celebrity guests and seating arrangements. His most provocative argument concerns what he believes Meghan understood about the enormous opportunities that could come with joining the royal family while still having connections to the entertainment industry. In Bower's telling, the wedding became a bridge between two powerful worlds, royalty and international celebrity. Rather than viewing the ceremony only as the celebration of Harry and Meghan's marriage, Bower argues that it also placed Meghan in the same room as some seriously influential figures from entertainment and media. From that angle, Bower suggests those connections could later become valuable if life inside the royal system didn't work out. Critics have challenged that interpretation as speculation, and there is no established evidence proving the wedding guest list was secretly designed as part of a future royal exit strategy. Still, supporters of Bower's argument point to what happened afterward and say the timeline deserves attention. Harry and Meghan eventually built a life involving major interviews, documentaries, streaming projects, charitable ventures, and worldwide publicity. That caused some observers to look back at the wedding and ask whether connections that became useful later were already forming much earlier. And after the wedding, the story moved fast. Harry and Meghan initially carried out royal duties, but they eventually stepped away as senior working royals and took their lives in a direction that shocked royal watchers around the world. Then came the Oprah interview, and that changed the conversation completely. Harry and Meghan discussed deeply personal experiences and made serious claims about their time within the royal institution, bringing private family tensions before a massive international audience. Arthur Edwards later questioned aspects of what was said, arguing that some claims didn't line up with the royal family he believed he had observed during decades of coverage. That was his perspective, of course, and Harry and Meghan have publicly defended their account of their experiences. Some critics also question whether Meghan's connection with Oprah had become especially valuable before that blockbuster interview happened. But there's an important line here. Speculation about somebody's motives isn't proof of a secret strategy. What can be said is that once the interview exploded worldwide, people started digging back through earlier events, including that celebrity-packed wedding. Bauer then pushed his argument even further. He has portrayed Meghan as highly ambitious and questioned whether ambition and status played a significant role in the relationship. He has also discussed her previous marriage to Trevor Engelson, while arguing that marrying Harry brought a completely different level of international attention and influence. Those are Bauer's interpretations, and they remain heavily disputed. Nobody outside a relationship can simply declare another person's private romantic motives as established fact. What is clear, though, is that Harry and Meghan's relationship progressed quickly toward engagement and then toward one of the most watched royal weddings in modern history. Bauer has also pointed toward reports that Harry received warnings about moving too quickly. Stories that Prince William encouraged his brother to slow things down have circulated for years, though different accounts have disputed the exact wording and circumstances surrounding those conversations. Then there's the guest list again, and this is where critics really started connecting dots. Bauer has argued that the presence of major celebrities, alongside reports that some of Harry's longtime acquaintances weren't invited to parts of the celebration, represented a changing social circle. Bauer interprets that as evidence that influence and powerful new connections were becoming increasingly important. Harry and Meghan's supporters strongly reject the idea that celebrity guests prove some calculated master plan, and a wedding guest list by itself obviously cannot establish somebody's hidden intentions. But later events kept the debate alive. Harry released his memoir, Spare, sharing intensely personal stories about his family and royal life. Harry and Meghan also participated in major media projects that placed previously private royal disagreements directly into the public conversation. For Bauer, those later developments changed how he interpreted the wedding itself. In his view, the ceremony can be seen as an early marker in a relationship between Harry, Meghan, and the monarchy that would eventually transform beyond recognition. And Bauer wasn't the only royal commentator raising concerns. Angela Levin, who spent time interviewing Harry for a biography, later described encounters in which she believed Harry appeared anxious when conversations involved Meghan before their engagement became public. Levin subsequently argued that Meghan developed significant influence over Harry, pointing to incidents she believed showed their relationship changing his approach to royal life. Again, that remains Levin's interpretation rather than something that can be independently measured from the outside. Then there was the infamous tiara controversy. Levin and other commentators revisited reports claiming Meghan initially wanted a different tiara for the wedding, while questions surrounding the provenance of certain pieces reportedly affected what could ultimately be offered. Queen Elizabeth II was involved in the final arrangements, and conflicting versions of the episode have circulated ever since. For Levin, moments like these represented early signs of tensions that would become far more visible in the years ahead. For Harry and Meghan supporters, however, many of these stories have been exaggerated, selectively interpreted, or used to create a darker narrative around decisions that may have had much simpler explanations. And maybe that's what makes this royal drama so addictive. Depending on which account you believe, that spectacular wedding can look completely different in hindsight. A genuine celebration followed by an unexpected breakdown with royal life. Or, as critics like Bauer argue, the earliest glimpse of a future that was already beginning to take shape. So what do you think? Were Tom Bauer and other royal commentators spotting warning signs that everybody else missed? Or are critics simply looking backward and turning ordinary wedding details into evidence of a plan that was never there? Drop your comments down below and tell us where you stand. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who follows the royal drama. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.